day. My name is Marisa Koen. I am the Civil Supervisory Legal Practitioner at the Beckham Office of Legal Aid South Africa. We thought it well to talk a bit about social grants today. There's a common perception by many people that there's only two grants available, which is the old age grant and a child support grant. So first, I would like to take you through the various grants that are available. At this stage, there's 6 permanent grants that are available. The first, most well-known probably, is an old age grant, payable to people above the age of 60. Then you get a disability grant. Now, disability grant is for grown-ups or adults, meaning persons older than 18, who suffers from a disability. Usually this disability causes them not to be able to work and to have an income. Okay. You also get a foster care grant. Many people don't know about the foster care grant, and I would like to return to the foster care grant and the benefits thereof, especially for grannies and family members who are looking after a child whose parents are deceased or maybe not able to look after them. I will get back to this a bit later. The next grant is then the care dependency grant. This is a grant similar to disability grant, but this is only paid to people younger than the age of 18. So this is children, and the grant is paid to the caregiver to enable the caregiver to properly take care of this child who will have special needs because of their disability. When this child then turns 18, the care dependency grant will be converted into a disability grant that will be paid to the child or the person at that stage directly. Then another well-known grant is the child support grant. This grant is payable to caregivers of children, regardless of the fact that whether they are the biological parent or related to the child. If you are a person actually taking care of a child, you may qualify for this grant. Then the 6th grant is a grant payable to war veterans. It's similar to an old age grant, but the requirements differ slightly. There is no age requirements in that grant. Now, for all of these grants, there are basic requirements that are the same. First of all, you need to have a South African ID. You need to be a South African citizen or a permanent resident. Being a permanent resident means that you have applied at some stage for permanent residency and was issued with a South African ID. The fact that you're residing in South Africa alone does not make you a permanent resident. So this is important for people to know, that you have to go through the process of applying for permanent residency. If your application is successful, like I already said, you'll be issued with a South African ID document. Your ID number will then just have a 1 instead of a 0 at the 3rd last digit. So this is always an interesting way for a person to ascertain whether they are a permanent resident. The 3rd last digit of the ID number will be a 1 instead of a 0. Okay. So then also when you apply for a grant, you have to be over the age of 18. And in certain instances, you have to be unemployed. In this regard, I would like to also speak specifically regarding the social relief of distress grant, which was now introduced as a temporary measure to alleviate poverty and to alleviate the effects of the lockdown as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This grant is payable to people who do not receive any other grant or who do not qualify for any other grant. The reality is that there are many people who are employed in the informal sector who does not qualify for UIF, they're not registered, or it was never paid over. And this grant is specifically also created to address that gap of people who have no other source of income. So this means if you receive a child support grant or a foster care grant or any other grant at this moment, you will not qualify for the social relief of distress grant. The social relief of distress grant is also only limited to people who have no source of income at this stage. It's not to supplement existing income. It's for people not receiving any income at this stage, and that includes not receiving any payment from the unemployment insurance fund, or now we're talking about students also who are maybe receiving some kind of support from the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. They will also not qualify for this social relief of distress grants. Okay. You also, if you are a person living in a state-assisted facility, let's say you are in an old age home that's primarily being funded by the government, you also cannot apply for this grant because you're already receiving some kind of financial aid from the government. Okay, so those are basically the grants. I'll quickly go through the normal documents that you would need to apply for this grant. But before I get to that, I would like to stress that there's been a request by SASSA, the South African Social Security Agency, that people should try as far as possible to apply for these grants using alternative means than to go to the office. If you have access to a computer, the internet via telephone, please try and do your application via that means. Then also at this stage, SASSA will only entertain certain applications on certain dates. If you are applying for an old age grant or a disability grant, you can go to the SASSA offices on Mondays and Tuesdays. Then applications for child support grants and foster care grants can be done at the SASSA offices on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Fridays will be reserved for overflow applications of the previous 4 days. So I assume SASSA will inform you if you should come back on the Friday, if maybe you could not be helped while you are in the queue on the respective day that you were there. Further to that, if you're already receiving a grant, please note that you do not have to withdraw the money on the day that it is deposited. The money will not disappear from your account. It cannot disappear from your account. So you can, if it's at all possible for you, you can wait a few days before you go and withdraw the money, just again to make sure that you try and avoid crowded places as far as possible. So then if you do have to go into the SASSA office, please make sure you take the following documents with you. You need to have your identity number, which would be on your ID book, obviously, and make sure that you use your name and surname as it is captured in your identity book. You would also need to provide your gender and proof of any disability if you are applying for disability grant, your contact details, and you would need to provide the proof of your residential address. So those are the documents that you would need if you go to apply for the SASSA grant. There's also a WhatsApp number that can be used at this time for you to send a message to SASSA to do inquiries and also to lodge an application. This number is 0600 123 456. So again, as far as possible, try and use these alternative means of applying. So rather send a WhatsApp, you will be contacted And if it's necessary for you to submit documents, it can be done via WhatsApp. You can take a picture of your document and WhatsApp it, and thus it would be not necessary for you to physically go to the SASSA office. Okay. Now, I think if we can quickly talk about the amounts of these grants currently. Many people would remember that it was said that grants will be increased for the next 6 months until October. Now, currently, the grants would be increased by 250 Rand per month per grant, with the exception of the child support grant. This would mean that old age grant and a disability grant, which is currently 1,860 Rand, or until October, you can expect to receive 2,110 Rand because of that 250 Rand increase per month. The grants for war veterans and people older than 75 years, so people already receiving an old age grant but who are older than 75 years, were currently 1,880 Rand. So if you are a recipient of one of those grants, you can expect to receive 2,130 Rand per month until October 2020. Foster care child grants currently are 1,040 Rand per month, but you can expect until the end of October to receive 1,290 Rand because of that 250 Rand increase. Care dependency grants, which I've already alluded to and told you that it's the same as a disability grant, but it's for child younger than 18, were currently 1,860 Rand, and as such you can expect to receive 2,110 Rand until the end of October. Now, child support grants are currently 440 Rand per month. For the month of May, they were increased to 740 Rand. There was an increase of 300 Rand per month. From the month of June, they will go back to 440 Rand, and each person who are a recipient of a child support grant will get a once-off 500 Rand per month on top of the 440 Rand. This added grant is only payable once to each recipient. What this means is if you have 2 or more children who are currently receiving, for whom you are currently receiving a grant, you will still get 440 Rand for every child, and then you will get 500 Rand once off each month as an increase to help you during this time. So, I think there's been a bit of confusion. People are maybe expecting to receive 540 Rand, 940 Rand, per month per child, but it doesn't work like that. So this 500 Rand is only payable to the recipient of the child support grant. Many people who are receiving child support grants are not the biological parents of the child for whom they're receiving. And this is where I want to get back to the foster care grant, and I would like to just talk about that a bit. Foster care grant is designed to assist the person who takes in a child who are not their biological child. The reason why this foster care grant exists is because by fostering that child, you are taking a burden off the state. It's a difficult choice of words. I don't want to refer to a child as a burden, but the reality is if you, the foster parent, are not willing to take that child into your house, that there will be no other option than to place that child in a children's care home, where the state will be responsible for the sole, for the upkeep of that child. So the reason why the foster care grant is higher than a child support grant is because it's this added burden on a person that they take voluntarily. So if you or an aunt or a granny or an uncle of a child whose parents have passed away and you are currently receiving a child support grant, I want to urge you to contact the social workers of the Department of Social Development closest to where you are living and inquire about the process of placing this child in foster care with you. It will not only be the added benefit of receiving a bigger grant per month, there is also benefits for you in terms of enrolling this child in school, because now you will have a foster care order that was granted by a children's court officially placing this child in your care, which will simplify many procedures. I'm also thinking of having a child admitted at hospital. This type of order will really make it easier for you in future to properly care for this child and make sure that this child's needs are addressed. The income of a person is taken into account when a foster care order is granted, but the court may decide that you don't need the entire grant, but still every bit helps, and I really encourage people to inquire about this. I hope you found this information helpful. If you have any more questions, please call our toll-free advice line, Legal Aid's toll-free advice line at 0800 110 110. Or you are also welcome to send us a please call me, and somebody at our advice line will call you back. The number for our please call me line is 079 835 7179. We will also include a link on our webpage for people who would prefer to read up a little more about this information we've now provided to you. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.